All right, what's up, everybody? This is the Friday Mastermind. We've got a special guest. Every guest is special, but JJ Mazo is extra special, and I'll share a few of my thoughts on why JJ is such a special leader in our industry. But Todd, what's up, brother?
You know, I am fired up to have JJ Mazo here as a fellow Philadelphia Eagles fan. I wore this shirt just for him and Deborah Bird after the historic Micah Parsons trade today. And they are calling next Thursday's game America's game, and I am headed to Philadelphia. So any of you Philly mortgage coaches reach out to me. Let's go.
All right, anybody from Philly here right now, let us know down below. So Deborah Bird was not going to join us today. She's got a family celebration, a brother that is turning the big 6-0. And she said, hey, you guys mind if I take the day off? And we're like, family first. So here we go. So guys, JJ Mazo is special for a number of reasons. First of all, he's an incredibly successful mortgage professional. Has had many years of over $100 million, has done over $1 billion in mortgage business, runs a large region for cross country, has been one of the industry's top coaches in the mortgage industry for years, runs a coaching organization, is a mortgage coach. So the people on his team, he's a producing leader, so he runs a team. They all use mortgage coach. So he really believes in advice. And then to me, what makes him even extra special is he is on the board of directors for First Home IQ. He has been our #1 individual donor. So he's, really puts his money where his heart is. He believes in home ownership. I don't know if we'll get to the JJ Mazo story around home ownership. That might be part of the conversation today. But guys, let's give a big hand for JJ Mazo. Use that little chat feature. If anybody knows JJ personally, let us know and give him a reaction. What's up, brother?
Hey, man, thanks so much. I appreciate you. That was super, super kind. Glad to be here. And yes, go Birds. Go Birds.
Yeah. Hey, in another little sidebar, JJ, I don't know. I think I've told you this, but, Core is well known for putting on some really good events. And I had asked a number of people like, hey, who's your favorite speaker? And I think of all the names that were mentioned in terms of favorite speakers, JJ Mazo and Jeremy Forcier were, consistently people's favorite speakers. So FYI on that.
Oh, that's super cool. Super humbling, especially be up there with Jeremy because he is a lot of fun to watch. That's for sure.
He is one of the best. So dude, you picked the title. Obviously, you've got a big book release coming out.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the book. Tell us a little bit about the headline for today.
Yeah. So, it was one of those things where I was like, I'm going to write a book. This sounds like a really good idea. I could use another part-time job, which, it was just one of those things that kind of came to be when we were with my partners at Impact Coaching. We were going through an exercise with brand builders and Rory Vaden, and, it kind of pull out your identity of who you are and what you're doing. And after we had done that for Impact Elite, then I had done it for my personal brand. And I'm just trying to figure out, who am I? I wear so many different hats, but, who am I? And what does that look like in business? As we did it, the framework that they use at Brand Builders is pretty in depth. I mean, it's a couple days of like going like almost therapy work. And as we did it, there was this framework that I looked at, and she had said like, man, this is a good framework for a book. And I agreed. And so that was the beginning of it. And it's, it is a great framework because I thought timing wise, it was really perfect from the standpoint of, in the book, I go back to a lot of different, stories of perseverance, 0809 being one of them, and just thinking about the past 3.5 years about what our industry has gone through. And I was like, man, this is really trippy because the timing of this for so many mortgage bankers, if you see that are out of the business, and a lot of these stories can be super helpful. And so it's not just a story, it's really a playbook. I'm a super tactical coach. I like tactics. I need tactics. I like to coach with tactics. And so the book really turned from story to tactical of anyone going through hard things, been through hard things, or going to go through hard things, which is pretty much all of us. And being able to use this really as a coaching framework, as a life framework, and something that now I have to go back to consistently because once you write it, then you're like, now I have to take my own advice. And when you're reading the thing over and over again, It has been probably just going through this book has been writing it, going through it, selling it has been probably the biggest form of perseverance that I've had to go through in a long time for sure.
Wow. So let's do this. First of all, I've interviewed you before, but I don't want to assume anybody watching this right now kind of knows the level of success you've had. And I know in the book you say how to unlock confidence, consistency, and wealth under pressure. So I mean, you've become a wealthy guy. Like you've made a lot of money in the mortgage business. You've done well investing in real estate. Let's just break down how you're doing right now in the mortgage business, both the JJ Mazo team, the division that you lead, anything you want to share, just so people kind of know where you're at today. And then
Yeah,
let's kind of go back and unpack some times that you've overcome, challenges.
yeah. I mean, for me, so kind of take you backwards by 32, I think it was around 32, I was bankrupt. So I'd lost everything. And I was just starting my new family at that point. And having being, by the time I was 38, I had gotten to seven figure savings, seven figure income. And so with that, when you've lost everything and you have a second chance at it, you look at things way differently. And I finally had some guidance, with my dad was a guy who just lived by the seat of his pants. So, we moved, I don't know, 20 times. I always joked if my dad gave you first and last month's rent, it's probably the first and last month's rent your ass was ever going to get from my pops. And so we lived in hotels a lot. Like, when I was in high school, we lived in hotels with five of us. Thanksgiving turkey out of a microwave. And it was just one of those things that even when I asked him, I was like, Pop, I'm in a bunch of trouble. And he's like, just file bankruptcy. That's what I did three times. It works fine. You'll be okay. And so really, really bad money and financial advice. So after that, I was surrounded myself with people that gave me some really good financial advice. And still get to surround myself with those people and made a lot more consistent, better decisions from dollar cost averaging, saving 20 to 50% of all of my income, consistently investing in real estate. And then got to the point where I'm 48 now. By the time I was about 40, 41, I had enough interest income off the money I had saved, so I didn't need to work anymore. It covered the lifestyle. And so from 40 on, my father passed when I was about 45. It really turned into purpose driven. I've done on average about 100 to 150 million in volume for the past decade or so. My division currently does in this market, we do about a billion two in this market, probably a normal market, probably 2.5 billion when all said and done. So very, very consistent is probably what I'm most proud of. And most importantly, on personal production team, I work about 15 hours a week. My coaching company, I work about 5. And then in the division is where I spend most of my time working about 20 hours a week. So it's about not just making money in production, which is pounded into my head for a long time in my previous job as a coach, but how to do it in less time. That is the key. What is your freedom? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? How much you're trying to make or units you want to do or whatever your goal is, whatever your championship is, but learning how to do it in the time that you want so you can enjoy life. That's probably the thing that I've been able to master the past 5 years that I'm most proud of.
So I love it, right? I mean, that's, time is my thing, right? Win by noon is for me was all around shining a light on the first few hours of my day to do those most important things, which didn't always take 3 hours, but ultimately have that time to do those big priorities. So when you have three different hats that you wear, was it difficult for you to figure out how to split up that time?
No, I allocate my time where the most amount of revenue comes. So if 20% of my revenue comes from something, then it gets 20% of my time. If it's 50% of my revenue, it gets 50% of my time. So I allocate what it is that I'm willing to give in business, what it is that I want to give in personal. So for me, I'm like an unemployed hippie on the weekend, buddy. By about 2:30 on a Friday, I'm done. Don't ask me questions unless you want a stupid answer. I am done. And so I was really clear on putting those boundaries and setting those boundaries up. But when I am in the zone during the work week, if you look at my schedule, it's go time back to back and it's very strategic. And I spend most of Fridays planning for the next week. So when I get into my next week, there's not a lot of guessing. I've prepped for whatever meetings I've had, whatever talks I have to do, whatever calls I need to make. I already have my content prepped. I have my go-to conversations with LOs and realtors prepped. So I can just run super, super efficient in that time period. So, this way I'm allocating the right amount of time for the time that I'm willing to work. So when the market shifted, I had to go from working 35 hours to 55 hours. I was really, really clear. I'm like, hey, okay, it's go time. I'm going to have to lean in way harder for everybody else and lead by example. And then obviously as things kind of leveled off, then I was able to pull back on those hours. So it's one of those things that you just really review and gauge, I think, quarterly as well as annually. I'll re-review it too.
Hey, you used the phrase, I'm prepped for my go-to conversations. Like what does it mean? And I think in your, the way you've described it, you have go-to conversations with realtors to rainmake. You have go-to conversations for team members and team leaders in your division. What is prep for a go-to conversation in JJ Mazo land look like?
Yeah, so it's typically if I have something that I want to invite people to, then that's my go-to conversation. So if I'm going to be teaching a class the next week with realtors, then that means that's all I'm talking about that week. So it keeps it super simple. Or loan officers as well. If I don't have anything to invite them to, which is far and few between, usually I try and do 1 to 2 things a week, then I'm going to look at maybe market driven conditions or tools. So I'll pick, hey, here's a really great Dave Savage podcast that I saw. Make sure you take a look at it and get on there because this is going to move the needle for you. So those are the type of things that I'll prep by doing a Friday finish. I do a video, send it out to all my loan officers, and then the next week that's my theme to push through. Or maybe it is making sure that maybe there was some changes in the market, some data that we can share with our realtor partners, making sure we're real strategic how to use that data and be the resource for the realtors instead of them hearing it from somewhere else. So I think just being really, really targeted and intentional is the key.
I love that. I think when people hear 1 to 2 things a week to invite people to or share out great content, I think that's really important. I think when, you talk about the people who are like, okay, I'm stagnant in my business and they went, they were probably working 35 hours too, but they probably didn't increase to 55 hours, right? They probably didn't have a plan to pour in and grow. And so when I hear you talk about being strategic around events, like what do those 1 to 2 events look like per week that you're persistent with?
Typically, they're going to be events that are being done in broker offices for specific real estate companies throughout the county, or they're going to be ones that I hold. I hold 2 a month within, I do South County and North County, and I'll invite them to, and I pick a theme for the month. So, maybe it's thriving on how to win with warm referrals in your business. Or we'll talk about, how to sell like the builders do. I'll pick a topic and a theme that's going to help them make more money. It always has to be around helping make more money. I think one of the biggest fears I have as a leader, if I'm being honest, and most leaders probably have this, and if they don't, they're lying, is just being valuable. So I literally spend Friday working on business, ensuring that I have value to provide and communicate to my referral partners and to my loan officer team. So I'm not thinking about it next week. And with AI now, it's fantastic because it's the best brainstorming tool on the planet. You can ask it, hey, what are the biggest questions that realtors have today? All right, great. What are some strategies that we can utilize to be able to solve those problems? And then I can use my own life experience along with those strategies. And then it's just a matter of communicating it the next week or day or at a different class.
So you're just having a conversation with chat and just asking chat what's going on and it's helping you create that content, but you've also carved out time to do so, which is important.
Yeah, or it's real life experiences, right? Things that I went through that week. So maybe I got kicked in the teeth by a borrower on my team, or I got kicked in the teeth by, a loan officer had a big problem, or a realtor, or something that I had learned. Like today, we had our Impact Elite Coaching had our AI Academy that we have and rolled out. Well, it was an insane value add for our referral partners that we had on there. So I'll be taking that and then regurgitating that to all my referral partners going into next week. So it's really just what happened this week. And that's why I do it on a Friday, because it gives me time to reflect the entire week. What was the thing that what was the thing that provided me the most pain that I had to learn from? What did I learn from it? Cool. Let's communicate that to other people so that they can avoid it.
Yeah, so you all need to hear that, right? I mean, obviously JJ's not only is he a great producer, he's a coach, but he talks about the fact that on Fridays he reviews his week. What can he learn from it, right? Where were my struggles? Where are my successes? And then he's doing a week ahead action plan. He's actually looking at his next week and he's getting prepared. And I would say, some of you are like, well, but I can't do that on Friday. I've got to work. Well, that's okay, right? You got 2 more days in the week. You got Saturday and you got Sunday to do that. And that's, I think, one of the habits that I've always observed of the top producers out there is that they do spend time in both of those zones. They spend time in the zone of looking forward to make sure they're prepared. Like, what do I need to do? Darren Hardy would call that a calibration meeting, right? You got to figure out what is it that I need to maybe not do, but actually maybe eliminate that doesn't align with my goals, something that may show up on your calendar that shouldn't be there. And then looking back to make sure that you learn. I mean, I think that's super critical. So I love the fact that you brought that up.
Yeah, I just find that it saves me time. So when I don't, don't get me wrong, there have been days where I work on business day today because of the podcast and a couple other things. I moved it to Monday, which is perfect because it's Labor Day. So I'll just do it then. But, when I skip that day, it adds 5 hours to my next week. So because these are things that need to get done. So instead, what you try and do, instead of being consolidated with your focus and time, where you get more done in less time, you're trying to squeeze it in between here and in between there, and you're task switching, which creates brain fatigue, and then it's hard to go back and focus. So everything takes longer. It's like when people don't sit down and just do their call lists and just block out 3 hours of focus to call, you will find you call way more people than if you're doing an hour here or 30 minutes there or an hour there. So it's that singular focus that does end up saving way more time. I think sometimes we're like, I don't have time. It's like, really, you don't have time not to, because you're just squeezing it in and messing everything else up.
Well, and one thing you said there was call list. You've actually prepared who it is you're going to call. Most people go into it random and they pick up their phone and say, who am I going to call right now? But when you've got a list, right, that's the work before the work, right? And ultimately, I think that's where people fail too.
Yeah, I have a list, and at the top is the go-to conversation. People don't know who to call, so that's why they don't call. And they don't know what to say when they call them, so that's why they don't call. And it was the same way for me. Like, don't get me wrong, it's if I don't know who to call and what I'm saying, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna wing it. It just doesn't work. So having the list, having the go-to conversation at the top just makes it easy. You just sit there and it's rinse and repeat.
So what was your go-to conversation this week? Give LOs an example of something maybe they could do going in the weekend as a go-to conversation for today or for next week.
I'm going to be sharing it actually next week. So it's from the AI Academy, and there's quite a bit in there. But through the AI Academy, kind of condensed version is utilizing the MLS data in your area, dumping into a chat with our Impact AI Academy prompts that our AI engineers had created. And they're like 30 years in the business. These people understand this at a super high level. And it literally spits out the most amazing dialed in call to action newsletter that can also be translated into an instant podcast through AI as well. And you can utilize and clone your own voice for the podcast, and you wouldn't even notice the difference. And it's a conversation piece just like this, utilizing the data and MLS in your area. So that's going to be a go-to thing that I'm going to package up and send to the loan officers.
Dude, I want to hear more about that. By the way,
Yeah.
if you're on this right now and you want to hear more about this, give us a little reaction or, put it in comments. And what what can you share so that everybody listening to this gets the memo, like they know what you're talking about?
Man, it was literally, I just got off that call and it was like it was blowing my mind. So I would tell everyone they go impactelitecoaching.com, look for the AI Academy, which is on there, and that'll give them access to all of these things. And what I'll do is I'll share it with you, Dave. I'll get it all packaged together and share this one example and prompt. But it's exactly that. In the MLS data, it has an exact prompt because there are certain ways you need to talk to chat. It's how you prompt it to be able to get the data that you want. And all of your folks and listeners will be able to share that sample with their referral partners, and it'll blow their mind. And so I'll give the step by steps for you for sure.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. If you're watching this on YouTube, and by the way, for those that are watching it live, go to our YouTube link later in show notes. Well, like we always have a link, housing.link. Thank you, Scott Nicholson, for donating that to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. And then within that one link, we'll have links to this and anything that JJ shares with me. So, and by the way, JJ, I would love it because I know how good you are with Mortgage Coach. I had the honor of speaking to your whole, I don't know if it was your region. I know you had a
Yeah.
lot of loan officers on that call this week I spoke to. I would love like a go-to Mortgage Coach. Like what would go along with this if there was something like a 2-1 buy down or a permanent buy down, if there's any type of Mortgage Coach experience that you think would just be good to have. would love to know what it is.
Buddy, here's what I've realized about Mortgage Coach, right? So Mortgage Coach for me started when I stepped out of doing all the loans. So up until about 2020, I had done all the loans. When I talk about getting loans and doing loans, that means like working them up, presenting it to the client, going over all that. And what you'll realize with a lot of producers, they're not the ones doing the actual loans themselves. And so I needed to know when I left to go to take over director at the core for a short while. I needed to make sure that my team was communicating the same way that I would. The only way I could guarantee to do that was using Mortgage Coach and the platform, which was a really great advice platform, gives them tools, gives them consistency. My best advice that I find is adoption. It needs to be done and used every single time on every single client over and over again. Because the reality is, this is reality. It will be no money in doing loans. And we've said it before, there's not a lot of money in doing loans. There's a lot of money in getting loans. And those that, do a lot of loans, so to speak, they're just out getting more loans. And I think that's something that's coming to reality. Where let's think about this. As a loan officer, we turn in, let's say we turn in one file to 5 different underwriters. We're going to get 5 different answers with 5 different steps. You think about the inefficiency that's in our business and how much that costs with the very small limited margin that we even have to be able to manufacture a loan in this business. The amount of time, energy, and money that's being dumped in to solve that problem will solve the problem in underwriting and processing and then ultimately on the pre-approval side of things. So the Mortgage Coach is such light years ahead, in my opinion, that it's just going to be automatic adoption and automatic. And it's just going to get easier and easier and easier for people to use and automated so that your focus is just going and getting loans. So my thing is, hey, use it, adopt it. That's the number one thing. How you use it, I don't even care. Like, if you got to set up 3 different versions, so you just use those 3, that's fine. But just use the damn thing consistently, and it'll make you look way smarter than you actually are, which is probably a good thing when AI already is.
Love it. So let's get into frameworks in the book. Any stories that you think will help loan officers where they're at right now. And again, feel free to put your own frame on this, but the way I see where most loan officers are, they're struggling. Yes, you're not struggling, you're winning. A lot of top producers are winning, working harder to win. No one has just got an easy win right now in the market, but too many loan officers are still struggling. They have trauma. I interviewed a top producer yesterday who's like, hey, I started off the year pretty beat up, pretty struggling. And now I'm actually having a better year this year than last year and better than the year before and everything. So what are some stories, and then what are some things from the book that would help people out?
Well, what I'll do is give you just kind of a recap of the first 5 principles, because I think here's what I learned in 0809. For me, when 09 happened, it was in about January. I was in a really, really dark place. So for me, I lost every penny we had, every car, our house. I had my baby girl was just born. So for me, when we talk about in a dark, dark place, I was in a really bad place. And so I was contemplating either persevering or contemplating killing myself. Those were the 2 things that were going through my mind. So I've been there and I get it. I also had lots of mental illness and unpacked baggage. So it was all coming together. So I say that just in full transparency because there's nothing that anyone's going to say that's really going to surprise me. But that being said, when I looked back in writing this book, I realized that these were the steps and the things that happened so that when the market shifted this time, and this time wasn't easy either, buddy. I mean, I had to lay off a lot of people that I really, really cared about in order to make sure that we survived what was going on. And so when I look back, these are the 5 principles that really made the difference. So, and then the last 2 principles are really just a byproduct of that. So the first one is just working and identifying your discomfort zone. And the discomfort zone is, hey, what are those things that you're avoiding and have avoided that are deep rooted issues that that they're there. And so for me, it was really identifying that. Like, is it really just I don't have money, or where really is my depression coming from? And it's not an easy thing to do, and it's not all that fun. to go where the pain is and lean into the pain, because a lot of us, myself included, avoided that by drinking and drugs and addictions and things like that to avoid that discomfort. So first one, you got to lean into the discomfort. The next is developing self-leadership. I think once you've realized what's creating the pain, then you need to be able to lead yourself in the direction that you really want to go, and being honest with yourself about where is it that I want to go, and are the things that I'm doing actually going to get me where it is that I want to go. So you have to point yourself in a different direction. And I had to point myself in a completely different direction because there were two totally different roads. And then the third is putting your plans into practice. A lot of people have great ideas and great dreams, but if you don't actually put action behind them, they're never going to go anywhere. And putting those plans into practice are going to make a big difference. The fourth one being tapping into a support system, man. That is what changed my life. Is you hang out with clowns, you're going to get a circus every time. And man, I was part of the circus way longer than I hadn't been part of the circus. Once it is that I hung out with the right people that had better money values, better spiritual values, better family values. And listen, we're all human. Don't get me wrong. Like, we make mistakes all the time, but making sure that I don't put myself in the line of fire with a bunch of people that are just still thinking like it's 1992 again, which it is that I did. And then taking that advice and seeking that counsel. And that goes to the fifth one, which is stacking consistent wins. Once you realize what things, actions that take place in order to win, then it's stacking those wins on top of each other, consistency, because the consistency over time, no matter how small, has big momentum. And then that's why, you go to the last two principles, which is financial security and building legacy. But you work through those first five, then suddenly the financial security kicks in, and suddenly you can start talking about building legacy. But, until you can really get through those first five, and those are guides for me now. Those are guides for me. I had Tim Grover and I were hanging out the other night for like good 45 minutes, and he was giving me some great advice about the book. And he reminded me that, like, it is, even for him when his book came out, this is me persevering through it. Like, selling a book, like selling a $26 item, is the hardest thing that I've ever done. I've been selling a $1 million or whatever, my $550,000 item since I was 19 years old. And someone says, here's $26 item. And all the advice I got, it's going to be the hardest thing you ever sold. And that's the truth. So, I have to go back and take my own advice all the time now. And I think that's been the funniest or weirdest, scariest, most challenging, all the above things.
Todd, anything you want to unpack on that before I go?
Well, I just love your, if you hang out with clowns, you're gonna be part of a circus. Like, I love that quote of yours when I heard you say that at our exactly what to say certification. It's such a reminder, right, of that piece. And I really love all seven of those principles. And I do think you said, you have to stack consistent wins. And I think that, consistency right now is something that people are struggling with. Right. And I know that your word is perseverance, right? That people have to persevere through. So what do you feel like is stopping people right now from being consistent and doing the things they know they need to do every day?
Well, here's what I realized, and this is as a coach that I used to push people really hard, right? But here's what I realized is confidence is the number one driver of performance. So if you're setting people and giving them a goal that's too hard for them, and they keep failing at it, it erodes at their confidence, and then they're never going to get the performance. Meaning, if you can't make 10 phone calls a day, well, then cool. What can you make? Meaning, you just had the worst day of your life. How many could you commit to having the worst day ever? And they go, okay, 4. Cool. Then we're going to start with 4 a day. It's like push-ups. Can you do 2? Great. Let's just do 2 a day. And what's amazing is that I've been doing this with some of my newer coached people, never been in coaching before, and some of the lower producers. And as they're doing these small things over and over, at the end of the week, they're like, dude, I made like 4 phone calls every single day. It was amazing. And you see them building this confidence. And then suddenly they're building this consistency. And then shockingly, they're getting performance out of it. Meaning, like, if you're going to call 20 people, but you do it once a month versus calling 4 people every day for the month, you're going to get way more momentum out of it. So I think it's being very strategic in, no matter you know, a lot of people that are struggling, dude, then lower your goal. Like stop going, I need to hit 50 million or comparing myself against other people. Throw all that in the trash and go, what can I commit to every day that's a non-negotiable for me to do?
So, so guys, I want to go in circles on this a little bit because I really believe, well, I don't believe, I know for a fact. I've interviewed so many top producers, and there's a lot of ways to win in the mortgage business, but I've never met someone who's killing it that doesn't have consistent processes that they execute consistently. And I've never met someone killing it that doesn't have an uncommon level of confidence, you know? And so I just really believe like there's a lot of ways of doing it. So let's go do a little loop of things that, like, let's pretend we're sales managers. And JJ, I know you won't have to pretend this, nor will I, like, and Todd, like we are managers. But let's think of all the different ways we can either help managers or loan officers listening to this improve their confidence. Like you shared one. Like if you're constantly disappointing yourself because you're not making your 10 calls a day, lower the number. Todd, anything you can think of? And then JJ, let's do another one, like confidence building exercises. And I've got one in my head, but Todd, you got one, and then JJ, be ready for another one.
Well, I really love it. It was taught to me as the Pringle, right? Like, you put your hand into a can of Pringles, you can't just eat one. It's like, what's that one thing that you can do? And that, the overused one is, you lay out your running clothes, so you get up and exercise in the morning. But I think JJ just nailed it. It all starts with making phone calls. And so I think your Pringle has to be is what's the number of phone calls that I'll commit to today, right? We talk about standards a lot, right? And what is the standard for you? And just think, what's that number, right? You all have heard me say it week after week after week. 10 is my standard for a day. So guess what? I do 10 a day. But I think JJ, you nailed it, right? Rather than try to get everyone to overarch and then be unconfident because they got 4 done. If 4 is your number, own it and crush it, and then get that momentum that JJ was talking about.
JJ, what's another one? And I'll go.
Man, I'm going to give you the 4x4. You call 4 current clients, call 4 past clients, call 4 current realtors, call 4 prospective realtors every day. So maybe it's a 2x2, a 4x4, but you do it every single day in that order and stack.
So boom, that would improve your confidence. And then I'm going to go with the total cost analysis, guys, because here is the deal with, I don't care whether it's 1, 2, or 3. Obviously, depending on the number of leads that you have, the number of TBDs. Like a lot of loan officers, oh, I don't have any leads, I can't do a mortgage coach. But here's what a mortgage coach will give you. First of all, you'll be proud that you did it. 2, you will have a different conversation with consumers than fee worksheet loan officers, and you're going to get feedback from that. Like you're going to be proud of yourself, and you're going to get feedback by that. If you did a total cost analysis every single day, and by the way, there's no excuse. I don't care if you're a brand new loan officer in the business. You could call everybody that you know that's a renter that likes you and trusts you and say, hey, I'm a new loan officer. I need your help. I need to get really good at having this rent versus own conversation with customers. Can I practice on you? I want to ask you some questions. I want to do this rent versus own analysis. Guys, if you are experienced, you have TBDs, people that you have pre-approved that are not in escrow, you could just like update their scenario. If you've got refis that are on the fence, you've got annual reviews. So total cost analysis every day, and you will be radically more successful and radically more confident.
Yeah, I love that you say call friends and ask them that. So a lot of you are struggling to meet real estate agents, and call that same friend. Just say, hey, can we have a quick business conversation? They're going to go like, what? Say, hey, I would love you to introduce me to the realtor who sold you your home. And they're going to say, oh, I can do that. And say, great, can you please just do a quick 3-way text? So when Dave and I did our Impact 100 call day, I called people and I said, hey, I want to have a quick business conversation. And I was looking for financial advisor intros that day, but I called people like my brother. I said, hey, Neil, I know you've got a financial advisor. Could you do me a favor? Could you do a quick text introduction? Now, my brother didn't listen to me. He did it via email, but guess what? Who'd I meet? I met Angus, his financial advisor. And so you have this low hanging fruit, because part of the way you get momentum, part of the way that you make these calls, and you make that first call, and then you actually make the second call and the third call, is call friendly people, right? People try to cold call realtors, and the realtor's like, no, thanks, click. I got a lender, click. click, and then you're defeated. So actually make some easy calls that you can win as well. That's a great way to get started. And I love Dave's thing about doing the TCAs for the renters. You can adopt mortgages that way. And then I would encourage you to get relationships that way too. If a realtor gets introduced to you by someone who was a valuable client to them, guess what? They're going to give you a few minutes of your time. It may not result in business, but guess what? It could. So go for it.
Yeah, I love those, buddy. I mean,
confidence builders.
Dude, well, just imagine if you literally had 25 rent versus buy conversations a month. Like, don't tell me that it's like that one of the two, three, four, five of those people are going to be like, this is kind of stupid. I need to stop renting. They're all like, because the math doesn't lie. So I love that one. I think another one and to your point, Todd, that's actually a trick that I used to do and I still do. If I'm not feeling it and I have to start calling a bunch of people I'm not sure about, I call 10 people that I know like and love me and trust me and I can have conversations with before I start calling those other people. That is a real good, easy hack before calling people you're not sure about or you're going to get hung up on. So I love that one. I think the biggest one, man, that I learned, you guys know I've lost 75 pounds, to about 75, 80 pounds. And it was because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I wasn't doing everything in business in my personal life. It is getting your mind right in the morning, every single morning, taking an hour, minimum an hour just for yourself. And I don't care what you do, but like, I do something in the morning that builds confidence and I do affirmations. Every bit of thing. I am very like I lack confidence in all kinds of things, and I lacked confidence for most of my life. I was bullied for a large portion of my life. If I showed you a picture, it would make sense as to why. And then I realized that I need to feed my brain with good stuff, confident stuff, and I need to be really careful how I talk to myself. And we will feed ourselves negative things that eroded our confidence without saying it in our minds all the time. So I take the time every single morning to journal great things about myself, to say great things, meaning, if I don't feel like I'm worthy, then I need to tell myself I'm worthy. I got to tell myself I'm confident. I got to tell myself I'm caring. So whatever those things are that you feel lacks confidence, and then for me as a man of faith, for those aren't that are out there that are people of faith or aren't, I go to the Bible, man. I look in the Bible and there is so much about confidence that's in there. And then I let that guide me. And that's part of my morning routine too. In the morning, I fill myself with things that make me feel good. And if you took an hour every single day to do that, instead of turning on the news and watching crap that erodes at your confidence or listening to other people or scrolling in Instagram or scrolling in Facebook and watching a bunch of BS anyways, like no one posts, like they only post like their candy canes and roses coming out their wahoo, then do something else that fills your cup first.
Love it. So guys, we gave you all kinds of confidence builders, but there's no doubt if you want to win by noon, you got to win the morning. For me, that's win by 7. You heard JJ. I know he wins early. I know Todd wins by about 8, but he wins his morning. And I don't care whether you win by 8, you win by 9, you win by 7. You got to have a morning ritual if you want to have optimized confidence. You got to be selfish to be selfless, and you got to protect that time for yourself. So I love that. One more little mortgage coach reminder is hey, and after you've called all your renters, call all your people that have homes that are at 2, 3, and 4%. If you're brand new in the business, say, hey, I got to practice being able to have a great conversation with people that are in a home. They've got a 3, 4%, and I need to be able to have the move up conversation with them. It doesn't mean you're selling a move up. It means you're consulting with them around how to optimize wealth with real estate. I need to get really good at helping people build wealth with real estate faster. Do you mind if I practice on you? So guys, there's no excuses. There's always a way. One last thing, that idea that JJ came around stacking the deck of calling the people that he likes best. I would recommend as a sales manager, I always told people, call the people that are most qualified, that give you energy, that you like first every freaking day. And then there are those people that either suck energy, maybe they don't qualify, maybe they qualify, but they're energy suckers. Call them last, if at all. So guys, every day, start your day with the easy calls. Any more ideas, guys?
I wanted to drop one more thing because this is something that I am dropping Monday for my loan officers. So what I'm having everyone do is pull all of the realtors they worked with for the past 4 years, or 3.5 years, since the shit show started. So 4 years, and pull all the realtors that they closed a deal with or they have a pre-approval with. Then hand that list to their title officer and ask their title officer to pull all of the actual closed deals that those realtors did. Maybe we did two with them, but maybe they did 8 or 10. And then now it's going back and circling back to each of those real estate agents going, hey, thank you so much for the 2 deals you gave me. What I'd like to do is I typically only do refinances for past clients and my referral partners, but I'd like to extend this to your clients as well and offer a refi special for them. Would you mind please doing me an introduction to all those people that I didn't work with so that I can offer this to them? And it gives the realtors a reason to call their database. It gives an offering and an added value from you to your realtor. And then it gets you connected with an extra 100 to 200 deals that you didn't have. Meaning if I didn't get that on the purchase side, it doesn't mean I can't get it on the refi side. And it's a nice, warm, easy introduction that converts higher as well.
Love that. By the way, that just triggered a script from yesterday. I got this from Justin Padron. I had him on the More Momentum call. Make sure, guys, you're going to Sales Mastery. And he gave a script that I thought was also a confidence builder. And by the way, it also has a mortgage coach to do with it. He said, start asking all your realtors, hey, can you think of anybody, any buyers that you had or any sellers that you had, but they're waiting for rates to come down? Like, think of anybody that you had that's just waiting for rates to come down. And that's when they're going to do things. Guys, if you know how to use the cost avoiding analysis and you know how to use Mortgage Coach, you can have a great conversation with people. And he was talking about, I can't remember the exact number yesterday on the Momentum podcast, but he was literally talking about deals. Like, I can't remember if it was like 3 deals in the past month where, because he was asking for realtors, hey, who's on the fence waiting for rates to come down, he was able to turn them around. Another confidence building thing to do. All right, guys.
Hey, I got a quick get in now loan strategy real quick. Just throw out there.
Okay, let's go.
Just some observations from my team. So, my team sent out an email, and again, not the best way to go after transactions, but it was kind of an email. It was one that Shayla had shared with my team that Allison Larson sent out. It pretty much said something like, hey, the good news is, you're hearing a lot about interest rates and the Fed may actually lower them. What I want to make sure is that we've got a great, I forgot, like, target rate, on file for you. Just want to make sure we have a quick conversation. Do you have a few minutes today or tomorrow? And the weird part about it was we sent it out twice to all the old clients who had the 2% loans, and we sent it out to all of our current clients who've got the 7 and 8% loans. And it's really weird. The people who responded first were all the people that we've done loans for over and over again, which you have these same clients who we did cash out refinances to consolidate debt. Unfortunately, unlike JJ, who talked about going bankrupt, up like me, who was flat broke at that same time, your clients didn't learn. So the same people that you refinanced a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago to get them out of debt, they actually have debt again, and they're just acting without you right now. It was had a family member who reached out the other day and said, hey, I got this letter. It had your company's name on the outside of the envelope, so I assume they were associated with you. And I'm working on a cash out refinance with them. And he only got nervous about it when he had a 4.558 origination charge on a $400,000 loan, $25,000 in closing costs, that he said, this doesn't sound right. I don't think Todd and his team would charge us this much. But it was a reminder to me that even the people that you don't think about who had debt before, they all have debt now. You should be following up those people today and apologizing you haven't followed up on them sooner. Because even the school teacher who, when I was doing loans back a few years back, and I said, hey, this is the last time I want to have this conversation with you. I need you and your husband to really not take, do this second mortgage behind your 2 3/4 mortgage and get into debt again. Guess what? She replied back, I got 2 credit cards I need to pay off. She's in debt again. They all need your help, unfortunately. Unfortunately, they don't have the same financial hygiene that you have, and they need your help. But those are super easy loans that you can get before somebody else comes and gets them. And then the last thing I'll say is I'm getting blown up right now because I happen to have some loans that got sold to Rocket Mortgage on my investment properties. And guess what? They're doing an amazing job of calling me to refinance, and they're calling your clients too. So start with the low-hanging fruit, your debt-ridden people, and go from there.
And that just threw another little confidence building idea. And I just shared the link. I had Jeremy do a special webinar, Jeremy Forcier, this Wednesday. I called it Jeremy Forcier Scripts in Strategy for Purchase and Refis. And it was all about, like, right now, it's about realtors and refis. Jeremy shared his scripts on what he's saying to get refis right now. He shared an actual example of a refi he just closed. And to Todd's point, like, you should be getting a target rate for, first of all, you should already have it. You should know what is that rate for all of your clients, and they're just locked and loaded, ready to go. You should absolutely know how to use a mortgage coach rate and term refi, which is just the fastest, most efficient way to get clarity and confidence for consumers. So kind of the last thing I want to say on this confidence piece is, guys, as a mortgage professional, you need to have confidence. And then the most successful mortgage professionals create clarity and confidence in their customers. The way they win is they're in the confidence and clarity business. They help home buyers have clarity and confidence. They help realtors have clarity and confidence. Like, we could spend hours going back and forth on this, JJ.
Yeah, there's so much, I think the biggest thing to take is, man, there is so much opportunity. Fear will either paralyze you or propel you. And you've got to use it to propel you, and just go out there and use these strategies.
So JJ, as you know, I pre-ordered 50 of your books. I'm going to gift, I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to gift them to, but Kristen Messerly and myself and Todd are going to pick out some first home IQ ambassadors, and they're going to get a free book from JJ Mazo. So if you're listening to this, don't wait like, oh, I'm going to get one from David Kristen. Don't ask me for it, because I'm bought 50. I'm going to figure out who we're going to give them to. But I love the theme of the book, and I love how tactical you get, because I do think there's a lot of mindset books. There's a lot of books about going from struggle to winning. They've got great stories. They've got great concepts. But I know enough about your book. You have great stories. You have great strategies, and you also have great tactics. So I would love for people to just hear from you right now. Like, why should they buy a box of your books? And I'm not putting pressure, guys. No one has to buy 50. Although if anybody wants to beat me and buy more than 50, I'm down with that, JJ. Let me know if anybody actually buys more books than I did, or Todd and I did. But why should loan officers buy this book, at least one of them? And then how can they use it? Like, give us a little bit of narrative and your vision on how mortgage advisors could buy one or more of these books and use it. What are your
Well, I love it. So as just as a loan officer, how I'm using it, and I appreciate it. Thank you, brother, for doing that. Is I'm utilizing it to give to my loan officers, because it's real simple. Right now, there are tough times, and it hasn't been easy. And I am using this to give to my loan officers to walk them through those principles and the tactics, so that they can push through this market, and then giving it to all my realtors as well, because the realtors need to persevere through this market, and they need to work through their discomfort zone and get their plans into practice, and need to make sure they tap into a support system. So, and it's going to all my coaching students. I mean, this is really for people to have a playbook on going through hard things. And I didn't realize it so much, but the past week I've been struggling with some things that I've struggled with most of my life, and going back to this book and revisiting it, because I got to keep talking about the principles, and then you write it and you're like, oh yeah, it's really helped me and helps me on a daily basis. So I'm using it as a great gift, as great strategy. I'm doing coaching around it. We're in fact at the Impact Elite lab that we sold out. We're doing a whole VIP section on it, and doing a playbook around it. And I'll share that playbook with you guys after that event. So there's really great stuff here where people can actually coach and teach from it to add value. It's just a great value add piece, whether it's the book itself or the tactics in it, teaching one principle at a time to help their realtors, to help their family members, or help their team members.
So I put a link to the book to pre-order it. When is the book actually coming out? When does it actually launch?
It'll be in stores October 7th. October 7th.
Okay. So guys, you're ahead of it here. Like, pre-order the book, get around it. what are anything else they should do? I mean, obviously, I think I've seen you really upgrade your Instagram game. I would urge people watch this, if you like JJ, you've got value from the conversation we've had, whether you're watching the recording, whether you're live, follow this guy on Instagram. Like he talked about a lot of things on social media that are soul sucking, not mindset building. I'm pretty thoughtful about who I follow, and I'm pretty thoughtful about who I unfollow. And I am always, well, my garden is pretty clean, so I have unfollowed a lot of things that don't fire me up and put me in a growth mindset and get me fired up. But I follow JJ. Uh, where else can they get like good stuff from you besides Instagram?
No, Instagram or Facebook, buddy. Those are the two best places they can follow me on either one of those platforms. And even for me, that's a stretch, buddy. I mean, like I'm talk about discomfort zone, man. Being on the social media and all that stuff, that is just that has been super, super hard. So hopefully I can be an inspiration for those people that when you see me on there and you're looking at that stuff, it is so far outside my comfort zone and I'm very strategic in how I do it. So, you can DM me and I'll be happy to share that strategy with you as well.
All right. All right. I'm putting a link to Instagram. You guys can search him, find him on Facebook. Todd, any questions you want to make sure we ask JJ before we run out of time or anything? Any other coaching for the audience?
Well, I would love, JJ, for you to talk about, how you're using First Home IQ in your business and how you're coaching your loan
I
officers.
like that one.
I feel like it's there's a low bar there, right? For someone who's looking for, from a financial and a time commitment perspective, from someone who's looking to up their game. And I know you've done such a great job with it, so I'd love to hear your perspective on it.
So there's two things. I mean, selfishly for me, I'm actually utilizing it to teach classes at homeless shelters from people that are actually graduating the homeless shelter um, program. So here we have Orange County Rescue Mission. They have a program that people go through and graduate from and teaching them how to buy houses, they're like that, these are people that come out of there and they're just like, now there's no way I can ever do it. And I think there's such an opportunity to be able to teach these people like, yeah, you can. Meaning there could be like, I guarantee there are going to be 3 or 4 veterans in that room that probably qualify the second that they walk in that room and I teach it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to just share the strategies and givers gain. That's it. Givers gain. But most importantly, I think the biggest opportunity is for me. So I have a 20-year-old and I have a 17-year-old. They're almost 17-year-old. And my daughters will know how to buy a house. That is part of this. But when I think about how many people my age that have kids that are, getting to the age where they can or should be buying a home and don't know how, or how many of your clients that are in their 40s and 50s that are having children that are going to get to that point and you want to teach them how to fish. You don't want to fish for them, which is every parent that ever existed, if we're all being honest with ourselves. Then this is a great opportunity to add that value add for your borrowers and clients and past clients that you have right now and educate them and draw them towards the First Home IQ with a very charitable background behind it and teach your realtors this exists and this is conversations that they should be having with people that are my age, Generation X right now. I mean, it's just, this is where our kids are going and we can guide them to a much, much better future when 60 something percent of people's wealth are in their homes. Should tell you something. And we have an opportunity. We can get those younger people into a better position sooner.
Yeah, I love that. My daughter Giselle's finishing up her last semester at Arizona State, and I was thrilled when I heard she calls it her money class. It's a 1 credit class, and she's like, "Hey, Dad, what are the top 3 things that someone is guaranteed?" And I'm thinking like, death and taxes, and I forgot the third one, but it was like work and pain. Pain were those are the 3 things you were going to have in life, and I was like, I've been so disappointed and underwhelmed with the content, and it made me feel so good about the content that we've created at First Home IQ because I was like, it is so much better than what she's learning. And literally, she sends me her notes, and I'm like, that makes zero sense. Like they're teaching the right idea, but in such a way that my daughter's leaving these conversations confused. But it's been great for me because now it gives me one more opportunity to help pour into her and help now have a discussion from a different perspective. So I love that you're doing with your kids. And I think that's really where You know, most of us, I mean, my whole passion around First Home IQ is realizing how I messed it up, right? My kids watched us living good life, going broke, you know, where we shine our dollars, you know, what we do to save, you know, how I spend, how my wife spends, how my mom spends. I mean, all these different things that kids see and grow up confused. And it's just a great opportunity. And man, I never heard that you were out there teaching it in homeless shelters, dude. That is so awesome. I just love hearing that you're doing that. And it's definitely put something on my idea list.
Well, hey, and I want to throw out there, that all of our money, everything that we know and feel about money comes from the time of us about by 8 years old. By 8 years old. So from 8 on, you've already formed your money habits, whether it's fear or scarcity or lack of understanding, whatever that is by 8 years old. So this program ties right into, like, there is never too young to learn this stuff. And there is, after you're 8, there's a lot of stuff to unlearn and relearn. So that's why I love this program, man. It's the best thing ever.
Dave, you're muted, buddy.
Guys, I don't think there's been a single month where JJ hasn't donated at least $1,000 since he joined this mission almost 2 years ago. I think it was over $18,000 last year. He was our number one individual donor. So, like, one, he's putting money into this. Thank you for that, JJ.
You're welcome.
Anyone watching this, like, I just put a link in chat to go and look at my code. So, like, Dave Savage. And if you take this quiz, it's free. It's 15 questions, 3 to 5 minutes. One, if you're in the mortgage business, I hope you get 90 to 100%. And most people in the industry are. But most people outside the industry are not doing that. And then I want you to see this, like, we've updated this. There's links to take the quiz, there's education. And then, hey, just go and watch, like, our YouTube playlist. We've got one of the best financial literacy free YouTube playlists around, how to build a budget, 2 minutes and 40 seconds, how to make a financial plan, growing your money mindset. While people do have a money mindset at a young age, they can always change their money mindset. If you click on the on demand, JJ's money and all the other ambassadors that have donated money have gone to build one of the best financial literacy platforms that can be free. And then, of course, if you do want to be an ambassador, go to firsthomeiq.com, click on Become an Ambassador, learn about that, subscribe, be part of the newsletter, and we really appreciate that. All right, Todd, Win by Noon, close. How can people take action from today's conversation?
Oh, there's so many ways you can all take action. I want you to go back and really think through those ideas that we talked about to give you confidence. There's got to be at least one of those things that you can do today, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on recording, that you can do to build momentum for yourself and gain confidence. Number 2 is reassess your number, right? I love what JJ said. He said, hey, we all want to have big goals, but maybe you just need to pick a number that you can hit that target so that you can gain that momentum. You know what? Go to JJ's website, perseveranceprinciples.com. Click on one of his links to buy a book from your favorite bookseller and get that book ordered now so that on October 7th, it shows up on your doorstep. And then I want you to actually go into your calendar on your phone, or if you're a Win by Noon user, flip to October 7th in your Win by Noon planner. And I want you, after that book arrives, I want you to read it, but then I want you to pick a day within the first 3 to 5 days of after that. So the 10th through the 15th, let's call it. And I want you to do a 5-star review for JJ on the book so that you're a verified reader, because it's one thing to buy the book that helps out JJ a little, but really what helps him a lot is a 5-star review from a verified Amazon reader. And so I would encourage you to do that. Let's support JJ. He's been such a big supporter of our community, and he's badass. So that's my Win by Noon close.
Thanks, brother.
Like that, he is badass. Any closing words, JJ?
No, man. First off, thank you so much. And this has been a blessing. And I would just tell everybody, yes, going back to what we started with, please use your TCAs. Do one a darn day. Just create some consistency. And if you those small wins stacked up over time are going to build the confidence, whether you like it or not. Once you have the confidence, the performance follows.
Love that, guys. So hopefully you got value from this. We will get JJ back on the show maybe a couple weeks afterwards and really talk about how to take this perseverance principles and turn it into a competitive advantage personally and with the agents, the people in your life. Obviously, when you help people with a mortgage, they appreciate it. When you help people with life and you help them in big ways, when you help them in ways that helps them help their family members and help their friends, there's a whole new level of value you create for people. So I really love this conversation. Hope you guys got value. I hope you guys have a badass 3-day weekend. It is Labor Day. And
Yes.
everybody who's watching this, you're here because you're a professional. You're a worker. So make sure you celebrate yourself. Make sure you just like, hey, I'm a fucking worker. Ooh, did I say the F word? And give yourself a day off. Anyways, I could go down a rabbit hole right now. But if you are not following Savage Insights, go to savageinsights.com. Whoever I'm interviewing next is at the top. Make sure you're also part of the Savage Insider Club. Even if you already are in that club, text me right now that you were on today's call with JJ. I want to see how many people that are part of that club were on today's call with JJ. And if you're not part of that club, just text it and you'll be added. Take care, everybody. This is a
Take
wrap.
care.